So, have you ever really thought about what makes a ghost story actually scary? I mean, it's not just the jump scares, right? It's that slow burn, that creeping feeling of dread. Well, today we're going to do something cool. We're going to take a really chilling highway ghost story and just pull it apart, piece by piece, to see exactly how that suspense is built.
The story kicks off with this really powerful question. It takes something totally normal, like fog, and asks if maybe, just maybe, it's a curtain hiding secrets our minds just can't handle. Wow, I mean, what a way to set the mood. It immediately hooks you by making the ordinary feel, well, sinister.
All right, let's dive in and see how this story crafts that feeling of dread. It all starts in Section 1, A Happy Family. You know, every great horror story needs to start with a sense of normal, right? A happy baseline that's just waiting to be completely shattered.
So, let's meet the family at the heart of this. We've got Anjali, a self-independent graphic designer. Then there's her husband, Ravi, a marketing manager. And of course, their two kids, 8-year-old Pihu, who's super curious, and little 5-year-old Chintu, who's just full of energy. See? They're just a normal, happy family from Delhi. And that's so important, right? It makes them relatable, and it makes us actually care about what's about to happen to them.
The whole setup is just so simple and innocent. The kids are on winter vacation and they're begging to go on a trip. So what's the plan? A short drive, just 100 kilometers, to their grandparents' village in Rewari. I mean, what could possibly go wrong on a little family road trip, right?
And here it is, our very first taste of some classic foreshadowing. Ravi casually mentions that the Delhi-Jaipur highway is supposedly haunted. But Anjali, our confident modern hero, she just brushes it off. She's a great driver, and hey, they're going to be traveling during the day. This little moment does so much. It establishes her character and plants that first tiny seed of doubt in our heads.
Okay, now here's where things get really interesting. The story starts to build that feeling of dread, which brings us right to Section 2, Grandmother's Scary Story. See, the threat isn't real just yet, but the idea of the threat, that's about to be planted.
So it's their last night at the grandparents' house, and the kids do what all kids do. They ask for a scary story. It feels so cozy and normal, just a sweet family moment. But this is the perfect Trojan horse for the story to sneak in its core elements of horror.
And let me tell you, the grandmother does not disappoint. She tells this absolutely terrifying story about a child sitting in a tree in the fog, and the big moment, the image that just sticks with you, is this. The neck of the child sitting on the tree turned, and he jumped down. Ugh, chills. It's so vivid and unnatural, and it completely terrifies poor little Chintu, making that fear real right there inside the family.
So you have to ask yourself, right? Was that just a spooky little campfire story to entertain the kids? Or was it something more, like a deadly warning about what they were about to face on that very same foggy highway? It's such a brilliant way to prime not just the characters, but us, the audience, for the terror that's coming.
Okay, so with that seed of fear officially planted, we're moving into part 3 of the story, Mishap on the Journey. This is the part where that abstract threat starts to become very, very real.
And just look at how deliberate the pacing is here. They leave at 1 in the afternoon. Clear skies, everything's perfect. But then, at 5 p.m., a flat tire. Just a normal, boring car problem. But that delay is absolutely critical, because by the time they're back on the road at 5:30, the sun is going down and a thick, ominous fog is rolling in. Their safe, daytime trip just turned into a dangerous, nighttime one.
And this is where the story just masterfully ramps up the tension. It's not one big jump scare out of nowhere. No, it's this slow escalation of pure dread. It starts with a broken bicycle in the middle of the road. Okay, weird, but you could probably explain that away. But then they see the exact same bicycle again, a little further down the road. Okay, now that's just not right. Then it gets worse. A tall, shadowy figure in a blanket just appears and vanishes. And the final step? The horror comes inside. A large, really strange handprint shows up on the inside of the passenger window. The threat isn't just outside anymore. It's in the car with them.
This whole escalating nightmare pushes the family straight into the climax of the story. Section 4, The Fog's Terror. We have officially reached the point of no return.
And then, the supernatural thing finally speaks. The car radio, something so familiar, suddenly becomes a channel for pure horror. It screams to life with this awful, distorted voice that says,
no one will survive in this fog. The threat isn't just a feeling anymore, it's a direct, terrifying promise.
And right after that verbal threat, the physical one appears. A pair of blinding lights just cuts through the fog. It's a massive truck, and it is heading straight for them. This is the Phantom made real, the final, inescapable attack.
The next few moments are just chaos, described in these quick, sharp bursts. A violent swerve, a loud crash into an old tree. The action is so fast and brutal, which is such a huge contrast to the slow, creeping dread we've been feeling this whole time.
And then, silence. That sudden stop, after all the noise of the radio and the truck and the crash, it's incredibly effective. It just leaves you hanging, holding your breath, wondering what in the world just happened, and who, if anyone, made it.
So what happens after the crash? Let's take a look at how the story wraps up in Section 5, an unsolved mystery. Because sometimes the horror doesn't end just because the monster is gone.
The story yanks us right back into the real world. Anjali wakes up in a hospital. And there's good news. The family is alive. But there's also devastating news. Her daughter, Pihu, is in critical condition. The consequences of what happened out there in the fog are very, very real.
And this, right here, is where a whole new kind of horror begins to set in. You've got these two conflicting realities. The official police report, it says it was just a single car accident. Anjali lost control, hit a tree. Simple. But Anjali's reality, what she knows happened, is a story of a supernatural attack. And that gap, that space between what she experienced and what the world is willing to believe, that's its own kind of terror.
So the most important takeaway here is that the physical wounds, they heal. The family recovers. But Anjali is left with this deep psychological scar. She is completely trapped with the memory of something she can never, ever prove, and a truth that no one else is ever going to accept. The haunting isn't over. It's just changed form.
So, after all that, what's the ultimate point? This story isn't just about some ghost on a highway. It's got a much deeper message. Let's look at the final section, the story's warning.
And the whole narrative leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. Behind every blanket of fog lies an untold story that could perhaps be yours too. That's such a powerful way to end it. It takes this one specific ghost story and makes the theme totally universal. It leaves all of us wondering about the mysteries that might be hiding just out of sight, veiled in our own personal fog.